Guys, my name is Brandy Ritchie, and I am currently in Rhode Island for a charity event. That is why I'm not able to be there to present today. However, I do have this lovely little slideshow. So, iPads, the future of teaching. According to techterms.com, the iPad is a tablet computer developed by Apple. The iPad does not include a keyboard or a trackpad, but instead has a touchscreen interface, which is used to control the device. This website goes on to say how this tech piece can run third-party applications and is often used for productivity, graphics, and video editing. Another feature is that of e-reader compatibility. With a full color screen, art books and illustrated children's stories are very well adaptable. All iPads are Wi-Fi compatible, and some models include cameras. With all these cool gadgets and perks built into a portable device, many education systems thought to bring them into the classroom. However, is this really the ethical thing to do? Could iPads really be the future of teaching? There are many different views and takes on whether or not iPads are the future of teaching, many of which have been talked about for years by many reliable media news sources. According to an article on money.cnn.com by Heather Kelly, Apple offers a free curriculum called Everyone Can Create that helps teachers use tools such as music, photography, and drawings to liven up topics such as math, English, and science. The article goes on to support iPads in the classroom as not only ethical, but effective, as there's an app to help teachers manage kids swiping away and getting distracted. Surveillancing usage would need to be necessary in order to follow the 10 commandments of computer ethics, such as thou shalt not copy or use proprietary software for which you have not paid, said by the Computer Ethics Institute. This media source is highly credible as it is the CNN business page, and they also effectively credit where they gained their information from. Also, the journalist for this article is transparent in that they do not try to advertise or push a certain product, as she also talked about the perks of a Google competitor. Another article from CNN by Christina Bonington uses credible sources as well. The article goes on to explain how textbook publishers, Huffington Mifflin Harcourt, performed a study where they found that 20% more students scored proficient or advanced in subjects when using the book on tablets versus paper textbooks. On the flip side of statistics, this article from CNN Business mentions how, unfortunately, the cost is still really high for public schools. As a journalist, not showing signs of bias there, for sure. However, at the end of the article, the journalist displayed favoritism towards this product and sort of makes assumptions of greater overall benefits for students by implementing iPads in schools based on very few statements or facts. Maybe much of this debate could be figured out if things were to be broken down into different grades. Could the age of the student users play a role into this method of teaching? Absolutely, but many articles do not describe the age or even range in which they are focusing on. Are we not seeing the whole picture? Some media outlets appear to be silencing that. An article on WashingtonPost.com by Lana Hall takes on her account of giving her third grade students iPads and wishing she could take them back. Her school wanted to implement digital citizenship and online safety to the kids, but with that came the brainwashing and mesmerization of the pretty screens, of course. Her students were no longer talking amongst each other and learning their vital communication skills. She took to her bosses and executed lessons with the iPads, but also made ones without for when there were tech problems. Lana saw many benefits to the learning style and ease of things, but she still felt it was unethical since it took away the innocence of the children within their imagination to play and converse with one another. Overall, this was an excellent ethical article that even though the journalist ultimately is choosing a side, she was very open to change as well as displaying facts for the opposing viewpoint. Another post by WashingtonPost.com by Jay Matthews delivers this in a somewhat similar ethical way as the last. Credible sources and statistics were used per usual. The viewpoint is left in the air with the journalists agreeing or disagreeing with iPads as the future of education, but with some of their leading statements such as, "I am not sure that it'll work, but it's worth a try," makes you want to doubt the use of this technology and not really feel confident about things. From reading many different articles and using these examples provided, it appears as if we could say that CNN leans more towards the use of iPads for teaching, while the Washington Post takes the opposite stance. Whether or not this is actually the case, we're not too sure. Could it be that the couple examples dissected just happen to view things like that? Or is it just like every other topic where journalists for a particular media outlet are already going to have some implied bias within their writings? Of course, it is the second option, as everything media related is biased, but it's just human nature. To take things to a very current example, KiwiTV.com reported that Ivanka Trump and Apple CEO Tim Cook visited Wilder schools that had been donated to iPads donated by Apple to, They visited Wilder schools that Apple and Sprint had donated iPads to in spring of 2016. It's a White House effort to promote an interest in STEM education in schools across America, as well as get some of the most at-risk kids in the country off the streets and into the classrooms, said the article. I do not feel like this is an ethically comparable problem by stating that iPads in the classroom will be the factor to keep them off the streets. That's simply an advertising or promotional type message to lure people in. The reporter does a nice job by giving a viewpoint of someone not happy with these educational advancements and someone happy with the donations. Another quote was, "My son in kindergarten was struggling a lot with his reading, and now he's in first grade and they're using the iPads and he's doing really well." Versus an opposing point that says, "I feel like it's not so much a waste of money. It was implemented as a way to get rid of teachers completely." The reporter also did a surprisingly nice job in reporting the information that had been said without taking a side to the issue. Looking into this, I found that Kiwi TV is a media news outlet through ABC, and ABC media is usually left-wing. Something I found very interesting was that another media outlet, the IdahoStatesman.com, reported on the same topic, but they mentioned nothing about Ivanka Trump being involved to the visit to the school. The only mention is under a picture caption that she is not even in, only Apple CEO Tim Cook is in. This article by Cynthia Sewell name-dropped President Barack Obama throughout, giving him credit as starting this initiative versus the White House efforts. This article was also extremely biased in only covering the good feedback of this. By example, they proudly explained to him what they were creating and learning, and the leaders thanked him for gifting the school hundreds of iPads along with the training and technology to make their school among the more innovative in the state and country. No mention of the protesters, unlike the first report had said. So I then decided to go to a well-known nationwide source. CNBC is usually a more centered view of things, but can sometimes go left-centered. Fact-wise, everything matched up very well with the first one, and things were prepared nicely and with detail. This article did not go into detail about the pros and cons of the tech world being brought into schools. However, all names involved Ivanka Trump, Tim Cook, Wilder School District, etc. were mentioned. Surprisingly, the article's first credited sources was of the Idaho Statesman, saying Apple CEO Tim Cook and Ivanka Trump, advisor to President Donald Trump, will visit Idaho's Wilder School District on Tuesday. This can be believed to have been reported this way due to two separate journalists, and that is what actually happened. The First Lady was very unethical within the extreme bias she had presented versus being a reliable source and covering a story with all names of the party involved. Overall, media outlets tend to face off with many ethical dilemmas. That is why it is in our best nature to gather news from multiple sources to see what things are overlapping in the good old fact world. Thank you guys for listening, and if you have any questions, feel free to email me. Thanks.